Welcome to the Long Range Pursuit Podcast, presented by Gunwerks, where we learn about and share long-range shooting techniques, science, and gear.
All right, this is Long Range Pursuit Podcast, live from the field, and we are sitting on a boat in the ocean on Kodiak Island with a whole crew of people. And so if the audio is a little weird, if it's a little haphazard, then that's our preemptive warning right there.
And we're eating popcorn.
And there might be a little bit of liquor involved here too. So anyway, where do we start? Do we want to make intros real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
Just roundabout. Landon Michaels, you've heard my voice lots of times.
Avery Schmale, I'm an engineer, and I've been on a few of them myself.
Neil Emery.
Austin Atkinson from Huntin Fool.
Zach Smith, this is my debut to a Gunwerks podcast.
And Josh Moore, I'm the engineering manager. I've also been on a couple of podcasts.
We got a couple observers over here, Corey Pendley from the Gunwerks crew, and
we got the whole Nilchik Charters crew listening
well.
too. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a fun trip. We've got to, I think, thank Neil for putting this thing together. And there's a little bit of a backstory why this happened, but we did a little bit of a preemptive episode a few weeks back that you've probably listened to if you're a regular listener, kind of the preparations and the planning. And you know, a lot of us, this was a completely new experience, and so a lot of learning involved here. And I think maybe a few things, now that we've been here for a few days, things that we've learned, things that went as anticipated, and maybe things that we learned and did not anticipate as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't think there's a lot of structure here. I think we'll probably tell a few fun hunt stories and maybe some bear encounters and some fishing and everything else that goes on up here.
Mm-hmm. I think you guys should start with the bear encounter that you guys had. That's been kind of one of the biggest things.
I guess it wasn't first day, but it was first full day.
First morning, yeah.
Yep. So we got in a short hunt the first night. We ended up kind of rolling around the island and did one quick hunt that evening, like 2 hours, and ended up knocking a couple deer down with a couple groups. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that was just a couple hours, and then the first full day out, Avery and I got off the boat. And not far, you know, you always hear about the scary bears in Kodiak. That's kind of the thing. And it's funny because I've never been here. Everybody talks about the bears, but then you talk to people who are like, well, we never saw a bear in a whole week on the island. And so we really didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, we got off the boat. It was raining, so we had rain gear on. And it seems like with the hood of the rain gear on, you can't hear anything as you're walking. It's crinkling, making noise. And I wanted to be able to hear being in bear country, so I was running with my hood off, and we stopped. We were trying to make a game plan, looking at Onyx and whatnot, and I heard a wolf and just started crashing through the trees. I started freaking out, and Landon looks over at me like,
well, because I had my hood up, you know, it's like rain, and I don't like rain.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I just see Josh like jump. I mean, probably a couple feet in the air. Or sorry, Avery, jump a couple feet in the air. You're freaking out. And I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? She's like, did you hear that? I'm like, no. So I flip my hood off, and the second I flip my hood off, I hear the crashing through the bushes, right? Mm-hmm. And so we kind of zeroed in on the sound, and I see you had your rifle in hand. Right?
I was pistol drawn first.
Okay.
And when your
rifle was slumped?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you pulled your pistol, then I switched to rifle.
Yeah. So I had, you know, typical true to form for me, I had my rifle strapped to my pack, so it was inaccessible. Pistol on my chest holster. So I drew as soon as I heard the sound and kind of zeroed in on the noise. You drew and then got your rifle out. And I just remember hearing that crash, and we were zeroed in, and I remember just watching as that big old pumpkin head popped out of the brush at 15 yards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just came right out of the alders.
Yeah, coming straight at us.
Yeah.
And
thankfully decided that we weren't food that morning, and continued on past us and rode out into more alders.
Yeah, I think the second he got eyes on us, he realized, okay, this isn't something I really am going to be aggressive of, and he kind of turned and kind of walked sideways to us about 15 yards and kind of just continued on his way. But I just remember like that trigger on my Glock about halfway depressed by the time you turned. Like it was that close to happening.
Yeah.
Right then and there. You know, that fight or flight is probably happening with us and with that bear at that moment. But that was definitely a wake up call.
Yeah. After that, I mean, the rest of the morning we spent probably 175 yards from that spot is where we decided to set up in glass, and we saw one real far off, and then as we were headed out, we had one at just under 100 yards looking up at us and trying to decide what it was thinking.
So we definitely got that first day Kodiak experience, didn't we?
Yeah.
On day number 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. First morning, set the headspace for the rest of the trip.
Yeah, we didn't see any bears the first day, right?
No.
That first half day.
No, and
That was
we were on
maybe.
edge though because you killed that buck
Mm-hmm.
last freaking 20 minutes of light, and we were cutting and packing in the dark.
Yeah.
It was definitely a little nerve wracking.
Yeah, that was very nerve-wracking. But yeah, the whole crew went out on day number 1, and we just kind of hiked up the hill. We weren't sure what to expect, and saw the typical wall of brush up the hill. And then 2 groups went up, and we ended up killing two bucks that first half day.
Yeah.
And then went out that second morning, and we had a crew go duck hunting, and then you guys had all the bear encounters and decided there's probably a better spot that you could go, right?
Yeah.
Which was, I think, was a wise move. Yeah. So, and then did anybody kill a buck on day number 2?
Jackie.
Yep, Jackie.
Right.
Yep, Jackie ended up killing a buck on day number 2.
Zach, you were with on that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Me, Jackie, and Jim. That was day 2. It's kind of day 1, right? Because that first day, that evening was like a bonus day. So it was like official day 1 on the island.
Yeah, and I think I remember hearing those shots. We ended up seeing you guys drag the deer up over the hill.
Yeah.
How did that all play out?
That one was pretty easy, honestly. One thing we need to talk about on this is terrain of the island, to give everyone an idea of what we're dealing with, as far as bears coming out of alders. And when we talk about just hiking up a hill, it's not just hiking up a hill, but Jackie's was it really was just kind of landed on the beach and started hiking up these cliffs to get kind of to the mainland. And I think we were only in maybe a quarter mile or so and spotted this little buck, and he ended up being a little bit smaller than we had initially thought. And I think he was 250, something like that, 260. Just kind of we were on a ridge, and he was on the next ridge over, maybe 2 ridges over. And basically, I mean, she took a shot and dumped him. It was a perfect day. We had some light rain. I think that was the only day that I wore any rain gear so far. We've had like really uncharacteristically nice
overall
weather.
The forecast for the weeks leading up was looking very, very wet. And we really only had one day with much rain at all.
And that was that day. But she took a shot and dumped him, and kind of, he kind of ran over the hill just a little bit. We're like, oh man, we're gonna be chasing him through. We'll talk about terrain and vegetation and what we're kind of dealing with here, but we thought we were going to be searching around in all these alder trees and tall grass and stuff, but found him pretty easy. So it was kind of a pretty quick success, and kind of set a tone for what this trip has been. Like it's been a sleigh. There's obviously been a lot of struggle and stuff like that, but man, we've been coming home successful.
The crew's been getting after it.
Yeah.
Well,
we've had 13 or 14 down.
I think we got 14. There's 10 people.
Yeah,
and
13 down in 3.5 days. It's Wednesday. We got a little bit of a day on Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 13. I think we're doing pretty good.
Doing pretty good. I think everybody on this boat has a sore back and sore legs right now.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, Neil took the shortcut. He got it done on the beach.
Efficient.
Efficient. Yeah, I started off heavy on the fishing and the duck hunting, and just let the deer come to me. You know,
You really did.
it's a different tactic, and sometimes it works. But,
Just let the rut kick in.
Maybe this is when we talk about your kill today and
Yeah.
and how that happened.
yeah,
This is probably about the coolest shot and the closest shot of
Closest
of
shot,
the
yeah.
week.
Yep.
And
I'd like to call it magnetism or something, but really the rut is on. You never know when the deer are going to come, and we actually had 3 bucks walk up to us in thick cover today, and it was the craziest thing, like unexpected. We were in an area where we felt like we either needed to get out of it up top where we could see, or go all the way back down to the beach where maybe we could see, because we couldn't see anything in there and it's impossible to walk quietly. Well, we sat down and started eating a bit, and a buck just appeared. We didn't get a shot at it. Over the course of the next hour of just being around there, maybe only half an hour,
30
I don't
minutes
know.
probably.
Another buck came and went, didn't work out, and then all of a sudden a third buck just shows up, and I had already just taken a bite of my sandwich. We were all just most people were sitting. I think I might have been the only one standing, so I saw it, reached down, grabbed my gun, chambered around, put the sandwich back in my mouth, held the rifle up, shot the deer.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
with the sandwich hanging out of your mouth.
With the sandwich hanging in
So
my mouth.
in long range pursuit, Neil took his from standing with the sandwiches in his mouth at what?
Yeah, a solid
50
40 to
yards,
50 yards, something like
so-
that. Yeah, we didn't have
Pretty
time to
good
break
one,
out the
pretty
BR4 and figure out the
solid,
right
yeah.
dope. I had to play that one in my head.
Yeah. He finished the sandwich as we
just
went and
experience.
tracked
Yeah,
him
by the
down.
time we found the deer, I think I had 2 bites left of my sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy though. I mean, I swear I haven't hardly seen a deer under 1,000 feet. It seems like 90% of the deer we've seen have been right at that 1,000-foot mark. Right. At the
Yeah,
base
we were
of
at
the
about
snow line.
I agree.
500 feet,
Yeah.
and we had 3 within 30 to 50 yards.
But I mean, you know, it
was a
just shows you how
strange
much it varies
Yeah.
experience. I mean, I've probably seen 15 bears this week, and I think Corey's not even seen one, right?
Drew bear.
Yeah.
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 It's
pretty wild.
None. I've
It's
only
just weird
seen,
how that
I've
goes,
seen
you know?
2, but I mean, real far
Just
away.
2 yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
On a little bit different effort level, Austin. You've been probably winning the award for night owl at a trip.
The dumbest award.
The headlamp's been getting used
Are you out of
actually.
batteries yet?
No, I charge it up every night.
Okay.
I do like hunting till dark
Yeah.
and having a horrible pack out. That's definitely my style. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy seeing the different terrain. Like, we've looked at a lot of maps,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of people before they come to Kodiak. You look at your Onyx, you look at your topo, and you're like, "Oh, I could get on this ridge and walk all the way back."
Yeah, it's not. the
You'll
same.
never make it that far, right? You never make it near as far as you think, especially with the short daylight hours we have.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest thing. By the time we get going, sun's up, it's 9 a.m.
And it always takes you longer to get where you're going than you think it is.
Nothing looks. Nothing is as easy as it looks here.
No matter how open it is either. Like everyone talks about the brush, but if it looks open, it's still
It's not.
Well,
hard to
case
walk
in
in.
point today, right? We shot my buck at 440. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And it took us an hour to get to him.
Yeah, 440
440
yards, and
yards
it took us an hour to get up there. Yeah. So
And there's
Probably
no
the worst
leaves on the
bushwhacking
trees.
I've seen
I mean,
yet.
this
Yeah.
should be as easy as it gets
Yeah.
to walk through the brush.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the bushwhacking is no joke.
Yep.
That's for
It's
sure.
not. Yeah.
Austin, how is this trip compared to? I mean, you've been here quite a few times, right? Experienced a lot of it. I mean, is it pretty par for the course for you? Anything different or stand out from what you've seen before?
I mean, as far as the style of hunt, I prefer the bow hunt.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice to have your meat hanging out there, not worrying about bears.
Right.
You're not tying it up in a tree. We're not sleeping in a tent.
Yeah.
Heck, we've got a washer dryer and boot dryers
Shower.
going. Shower. That's really nice.
There's a shower?
Yeah.
We can smell you.
Yeah.
You haven't found the shower yet.
But the biggest thing that changes up here is just time of year.
Yeah.
And, you know, are the deer high? Well, they are high if you want to go high.
Yeah.
Can you find beach deer? Yeah, you can in October. I really like hunting the alpine, hunting up high, put your head down, hike to the top. But it's hard this time of year because it's noon, 1 o'clock by the time you get there, and then
Time
it's
to turn
dark at
around.
5.
Yeah.
So you got to make it happen quick if you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they are rutting, they are moving. I just think the weather that day really dictates what you're going to see as far as deer movement. If it's really windy, it's going to be hard. If it's foggy or rainy, it's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like that nice day we had, I mean, we killed, 7 deer that day?
7 deer in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was partly
We had
because of the
guys
weather.
killing deer and going back down and
Chopping
throwing
meat
it out
off
and
and
going
going
back
back
up.
up.
Back to-
Yeah.
God, Monday was amazing.
We didn't pack our first deer down to the beach till almost dark. And I'm like, let's turn around and run back up there, and I'm going to see if I can long range that one buck and get him. And we found him with the headlamps. Like, it was dark by the time we got to him. But that's what you have to do. When the weather's good, you hunt. When the weather's not good, you fish or duck hunt or sit here and eat popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We've seen a lot of other wildlife and sea life over the last few days too, which is really pretty cool for what we're doing.
I mean, we're obviously here to deer hunt, but I've said over and over again, like, I'm here for the experience, like the whole Kodiak experience, including the bears, and I did get that.
You got that.
The front row seat.
I mean, you think what people pay to go whale watching,
Mhm.
deep sea fishing, all the other things that we've got to do.
close-up orcas the other day, right?
Yep.
The sea lions were crazy on
Yeah,
Monday.
you could hear them for
Miles and
away.
miles.
We've seen tons of sea otters,
Orcas.
a number of seals. Yep, the orcas.
Yeah.
The fishing.
The fishing, the fishing
Yeah.
started off the half day when you all went out. I did a little halibut fishing, and we caught some Pacific cod that night. And then since then, did you have the monster ling cod?
Yeah.
Like a 60-pound ling cod?
Yeah.
Quite a few lings.
Rockfish.
Rockfish were amazing. All sorts of different colors.
Great color of the rainbow.
Yep. Seen little white ermine on the shore. We've seen ptarmigan.
Yeah.
What else have we seen? You
We
saw some
snowshoe hares today.
Hares?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what those were.
Snowshoe.
Yeah.
Some foxes.
We have not shot any fox yet, but somebody's at least seen some, or no?
I saw some.
You
Yeah,
saw
you,
some?
you saw
glass
saw
one,
one when we were hauling my buck out yesterday or something.
You guys just couldn't see them.
Yeah.
We saw
all the
mountain goat
brush.
tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, we did see some goats today.
You saw
10
goats?
right
Oh,
up
Okay.
did
there.
you?
Did you?
Oh,
You can
cool.
blast them from here.
Yeah.
Yep. On the way here, we saw some elk on Raspberry Island.
Yeah, that's right.
There's quite a bit of game here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We haven't seen any of the feral reindeer yet, but
Bunch
that's
of
about
sea
it.
ducks, harlequins.
Oh yes,
and different golden eyes.
goldeneye.
Borrowed
Yep.
golden eye. It's a very diverse little island.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and I think we've seen a lot of the island too. We actually got a little bit of a unique experience where we started in Kodiak, and we've been able to take the boat all the way around the island to where we are now by Larson Bay, and it's been a lot of different type of terrain where we started out and it was really open, steep hills, and where we've kind of made it now has been a lot thicker. And I've kind of noticed the tactics have changed a little bit from yesterday to today even.
Right.
My biggest takeaway, like with tactics, is use your glass as much as possible. And if you're not seeing deer or deer sign, just keep going up until you start seeing something that indicates deer.
Or just sit down and have a sandwich.
Or sit down and have a sandwich, and you might get
We
lucky.
have the benefit of the rut going on, which
We did,
you
yeah.
know, a couple of weeks before or after, it may not work that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but I was telling Jessica today we treat it more like a coos deer hunt.
Yeah.
And some of that brush, we sat down. I said, let's just stay here in glass, and pretty soon you start picking up does moving in the timber or in the grass, where your mind says that's an open hillside. I can see anything on it, but you really can't. Even when those deer are standing up, that grass is a foot taller than
They
them.
disappear so fast.
Yep.
It's crazy.
So we saw a couple bedded does before we shot Landon.
I mean, I would
This
have
was
never
today.
believed that I'd have found those does bedded. I just happened to see a couple laying out there.
We were on a time crunch, somewhat. We knew we couldn't just wait all day for them to make a move. So we were going to do a deer drive, as it were, a Kodiak deer drive. And we sent Josh up the hill, crashing through, making noise. And these deer are really not as skittish as you would think they are.
No.
The one doe ended up standing up giving a nice big stretch, and then laying back down.
Just like
Actually.
20 yards away. I bet you she laid in her bed there while we cut that buck up.
She probably did. Yeah.
But
That was.
it gave us an opportunity to see up higher. There was a buck and some does had come out,
They
and
stood up,
by the time we ended up cleaning them up, I bet there was a bunch of deer that we had just glassed right over today.
Yeah.
All these
Probably.
nooks and crannies and
Yeah.
brush up over your head, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just thick.
Yeah, that was an interest. I've never experienced a hunt from that perspective, because
Shooting over your head like
yeah,
that. while you're
I was in the brush and I could barely see land, and I just turned around and I put my binos up and I looked at him, and I could see him pull his rangefinder out of his pouch in a real hurry, and then he ranged it, and then I saw him start dialing his scope, and I was like, oh boy, this is working.
going down.
I'm gonna sit down now. And then I sat down, and sure enough, 30 seconds later I heard a pop, and I heard it hit the deer, and the rest was history.
Yeah,
So
that worked out really. I told you guys I've never seen a deer drive work in my life.
Yeah.
But that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he made it a little easier on us by coming 200 feet of elevation
Yeah,
down
he
the
rolled a
hill.
little ways down the hill.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah.
So we talked earlier about gear we were going to take.
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, what did you bring that you didn't need, and what do you wish you had?
Well, I think we all knew that we were probably bringing more gear than we needed, even though it was hard to believe it. But I think that's probably the one thing. I think for the most part, what I brought worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I really didn't bring anything that I didn't use.
We've had
At all.
sunny days, we've had rainy days, we've had windy days.
Mm-hmm.
But that was expected, so we basically had the right gear for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us brought at least those kind of slip-on waders that can go on the outside, and some people have used those.
Yep.
So I haven't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Zach,
you guys needed.
Zach
They're
and
money
I.
when you need them.
Yeah, Zach and I peeled off the group and went to put a stock on a deer yesterday, and got to this pretty nasty creek crossing. I was pretty sure I was gonna fall in on that one, but we by chance each of us had waders. We didn't even coordinate that, and crossed the creek and went up the hill and shot a buck. So
Yeah.
So-
Those were
that was
were the best. They're just some cheapo, hip waders, like $15 on Amazon.
yeah, and they slip right on over your
that
boots.
was legitimately the best $15 ever
Yep.
spent.
Yeah, I agree with that. That was cool to have.
I mean,
in
it
my pack.
was thigh high and perfect for that one crossing.
Mhm.
If I throw them away, I'll still have got my money out of them and be perfectly happy.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, when it comes to clothing and stuff, I think synthetics have treated me a little better on this trip than over down.
Yeah.
And then I've been using my merino base layers a lot as well. That's the thing about Kodiak is you're really hot and you strip a layer and you hike up the hill and then you sweat and you get really cold. And I've just found myself being constantly wet and hot and
Even
cold.
if it's
and
not raining, it's always wet, right?
Yeah.
Something's wet.
yeah,
It's just,
exactly.
it's just such a wet environment.
Mm-hmm.
I brought the whole down puffy suit, and the only time I wore any of it was duck hunting because we were just sitting in the rocks. But other than that, it's actually been pretty nice weather.
Yeah.
I think we're getting pretty lucky. Like, I think our experience with weather isn't always the regular
case,
experience that you would
Yeah.
get here. Like, I had planned on hey, I'm wearing wet weather gear every single day, and just whatever I layer up underneath is going to depend on the day. But I wore a rain jacket, rain gear one day for half the day, and other than that, I've been wearing a t-shirt, merino wool, and a Kenai jacket, and most of the time not even that Kenai jacket. I haven't worn base layers, and most of the time I'm hotter than I am cold. So it's but I don't think that's usually the case. I think it's usually a little harsher than that. We're getting kind of a paradise version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How about rifle and cartridge choices?
There's a lot of debate leading
You
up
guys
to the
were
trip
one
on that.
step away from possibly having a fatal bear encounter.
Yeah.
Fatal for the bear, preferably.
See, and I mean, I carry my rifle strapped to my pack, knowing that that's a risk, right? And
Yeah.
that could have
Well-
ended badly for me.
Well,
Yeah.
and that was part of the reason I had mine on the sling. I had it on the sling in the case that would happen. I did not think about grabbing my slinged rifle with a scope coat and no bullet in the chamber first.
Yeah.
I immediately grabbed.
I mean,
my
we talked
handgun
about
out.
that in it ahead of time, right? The rifle should be the first line of defense, and the pistol a backup. But I think you just have that tendency to reach for the pistol because we're used to the rifles for the deer and the pistols for the bear.
Yeah.
You know.
And the guy who brought us 6 Creedmoor hasn't even seen a bear yet. So you probably
that's
wouldn't
how
do
you
anything
work.
different, right?
Worked perfectly.
Yeah.
All you needed was a pistol.
You know, I gotta point out when we first walked into the hotel in Kodiak, they have that
bear?
that 10
That
foot
wakes
tall
you up.
bear.
Yeah.
It made my 10 millimeter feel
a
really
little
really
small.
small.
Yeah.
Feel a little bit inadequate.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, we've all been carrying a 10 mil. We haven't had to use it. And then I don't know. I think it's a pretty split with the group. What caliber are you shooting, Austin?
6.5 PRC.
6.5 PRC. So I mean, it's mainly 6.5s and 7s across the whole crew, and it's all.
It sounds like you hear a lot of these locals, and 90% of them are shooting like 243s and stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's maybe a product of just growing up with them, and it's just part of the environment. It's
Yeah,
like this
probably.
new, scary thing.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if every time you see a bear, you change the way you hunt, or like you guys went up on that ridge yesterday to shoot that deer. There was 2 bears on that ridge that morning,
Yeah.
but you can't let it affect you.
Yeah.
You just have to
have to
say,
be
I'm going
aware
to
and-
be
yeah.
cognizant of the wind. I'm going to go kill this deer, take care of it, and get out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. I kind of find the bears, you keep them in mind. You just make smart choices, and just don't make poor decisions, and it's not going to be an issue. And then, like I pointed out, your tactic is just to hike out in the dark, and you don't really got to worry about the bears, right?
If you can't see it or hear it, it can't hurt you.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I never carry a pistol, but I spend a lot of time up here, and I feel like I don't need something else hanging on me, hooked to me. I've got enough stuff. And I always carry my rifle in a ready position. Never loaded, never chambered, but
So all the time that you spent here, how many close encounters have you had out here?
I've never had a real close encounter on Kodiak. I've had some sows and cubs in scary situations, but most of the time they've been very behaved bears. Like the worst would be 2 young adolescents, right?
Yeah.
That's what I usually have problems with grizzlies and stuff, is younger bears that think they're smart. But you just have to be bear aware and be ready to kill if you do. But I always lean to my rifle and trust the rifle.
Did you carry when you're guiding bear hunters?
I carry when I'm guiding any hunter. Sheep, goat, bear, anything. I carry a rifle always. Like this year we shot a grizzly bear at 7 yards. Was not planned that way, and luckily my hunter was able to shoot before I had to shoot. But it can happen in thick
7
alders.
Yeah.
You just have to be ready. And I say, would I rather have had a pistol? I'm not that good of a shot with a pistol, but I knew that he was going to get dumped if he did anything beyond that.
Wow.
But they're scary.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong; they are a very scary animal, but they're also very smart. And they think. And I think a bear encounter when you have meat on your back versus not is a totally different experience. Most of the bears we've seen, we just bumped into. Right? You guys bumped into that bear. Right place, right time, whatever. He wanted to check you out. But
He came in and checked us out.
if you
I don't
smell
think
like
it was
blood,
aggressive.
or you're dragging a deer or doing something, that's a whole different encounter.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to get myself mentally prepared is, if I would see a bear, I would know it's there. When you have such a dense population of bears like this place, the bear you know is there almost seems better than the bear you don't know is there, right? You're always worried about another bear coming out if you're checking a new place out, but if you know kind of a general area to keep an eye on, you feel a little bit more secure. Maybe it's false sense of
It's
security.
probably false insecurity.
Yeah.
I mean, you see how much ground they cover. It's like
Yeah.
they could be anywhere. At any
Yeah,
time.
from what I've seen, when you see a bear, I haven't seen a bear hold still at all.
No.
And
Right.
they're most likely going to be gone by the time you get to that spot.
Yeah.
They probably will be.
Yeah.
Got to admit, it's really cool to be staying on a boat like this at
And
night,
not
not
be
have to
on
worry
edge.
about
Not have
them
to
at
worry
all.
about it.
Decompress for a couple
Not
hours.
to mention
Yeah.
warm, well fed. I know I've gained a few pounds this week. It's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely makes just the whole experience a little bit more enjoyable. Just
Yeah,
to
it
go
does.
back and hang
It
out
does.
and-
Yeah,
Yep, no electric bear fences and
That's
ropes
right,
up
right.
trees. And
that's right.
Yeah.
yeah, that's very nice.
Let's talk about shooting setups.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Setups for shows.
With the brush.
Were any
Yeah, with
very
the
awkward?
brush.
I mean, because we were
Yeah.
anticipating a lot of tripod shots, didn't we?
Yeah.
Kenny? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing we talked about kind of on the first podcast here was the use of tripods, and I think, did you shoot yours off a tripod?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
So we've got one out of the 14 that have been tripod.
Yeah, I mean,
shots.
we anticipated with a lot of brush that difficult setups for getting shot, being
Yeah.
difficult to get prone.
Yep. Yeah,
Maybe
both
distance,
both.
Like how many? Like everybody
Distances
thinks
on
of
shots, too.
tripods, but how far were you?
Yeah.
I was anticipating shooting much closer than we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe
Well,
There
I mean,
were some long shots. For
there
sure.
were. I mean, so going into this, we had a couple of different little, like, group contest, like, competitions. We had longest shot, which was yours was like
Probably Austin.
696.
Yeah.
696. So you beat me by 40 yards.
Yeah.
And then closest shot was 40,
Yeah, I
40
didn't
yards.
expect anything that
Yep.
close.
And then biggest buck, I would say that was probably Jess's buck today, right? And then littlest buck was Jackie's buck. Yep.
Yeah.
So we got some bragging rights in the crew, but I mean, pretty much all those shots we talked about 14 deer, all of them have been off a bipod for the most part. I mean,
I was able to get prone on both of mine, and
Yep.
probably just kind of lucky that we set up in good spots, right? We
Yeah.
were kind of today we were anticipating the shot, so we had time
Yeah.
to find the right spot to do
I
it.
mean that was kind of the tactic on the first day we went out.
Yep.
Like I shot my buck at 650, and I was laying prone for
That's
that.
right, we picked a spot,
And
for
it's
it.
kind of like when you're glassing, take a minute and look around and kind of say, if I'm going to get a shot, how am I going to set up?
Because
kind of
if
thing.
you're just shooting where you end up and to happen
Yeah.
to see a deer,
Yep.
you're having a hard time finding a
Yeah.
place to shoot it.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
My buck's a perfect example of that. Me and Neil were, we kind of took this rim all the way around, and we're headed back down to the middle through to go to the boat, and we ended up seeing a buck off to the side, and we were in the middle of some thick garbage. Just it was the most non-conventional shot. Probably would be long range university level 6 shot here. We had this it was Devil's Club all over, which is just this spiky nasty little stems that can, I don't know, cause damage. But just I ended up laying on my back with the gun across my body, setting up over this like log that was half rotted out and just flimsy. We got a picture of it, and it was 375 yards off kind of my elbow. I ended up shooting it and just dumped it right then and there, but it was thankfully it wasn't much farther than that, because it was a little out of the ordinary shot.
It was. There was a lot of tall stuff and very little solid tall stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's not a chance that I could have gotten prone there, because everything was up to my chest all the way there, and it was pretty. I mean, it wasn't like I was shooting across a bowl. It was all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a short tripod wouldn't have helped you.
Yeah.
You didn't
It
even
was
tall.
the stuff was
yeah.
too tall, and he's too tall.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
good point.
I think the biggest lesson learned here is like deer the shots happen fast here, right? And the likelihood of having enough time to get a tripod out and shoot and get it set up is pretty low. I think that's the biggest takeaway there. But I mean, if you have the time, I mean, you might as well get it out. So
What would you say? I bet 80% of our shots were in that 300 to 400 yard range. Does that sound about right? A few
Probably.
closer, a few farther.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd say right in that 3 to 450
Yeah.
is
Yep.
right where most of them have been.
Yep. And I think a lot of that is just the function of where we've hunted. The earlier part of this trip was pretty open,
Yeah.
and glassing definitely was the tactic. And we're towards the end of the trip now, and
Some
we've
little bit
gotten
tighter quarters.
yeah, thicker timber, and that's where a lot of the success was today. Was just still hunting and sitting,
Yeah.
waiting for the deer. So
We probably have to talk about actually packing the deer out because we've had a variety.
yeah, I think the most popular choice has been gutless method and quarters, but Avery here has a different perspective on the matter.
Mine was gutless. The entire deer did not have any guts when I carried it out whole.
These are the cutest, dainty little deer.
Yeah.
No, I just decided it would be faster if all I did was pull the guts out and throw it in my pack. So hats off to Kafaru for making a pack that I could do it with. But
We did it the first night out of desperation, right? It was
We
dark,
did.
and we're like, we don't want to spend all this time cutting rib meat out and whatever else. Let Avery just carry the thing back.
Yeah.
I believe the quote
And then it just kind of
was,
became tradition after that.
I believe the quote was, well, we have a Clydesdale, we might as well use them.
Yeah.
Well, you came back that from the first time you did it, came back on the boat, right? And it looks like you've got the head just kind of mounted on the top of your pack, and we're looking at it. You flip your pack open and just
An
pulled the whole
entire
dang
deer
deer out
falls
of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the head and some meat. Like,
Yeah.
it was wild.
And then the next day, I feel bad for Neil because I dragged him all over the island trying to find some deer, and we'd get over there, and at that point I kind of wanted to just see if I could do it. So I just took some leg sections off and zipped it up as well as I could, and took the whole deer out.
Save the heart too.
Yep, kept the heart.
Yeah.
Best cut of the meat.
Yeah.
And it is nice that these smaller deer, packing out a half a deer, even bone-in quarters, it's not too bad.
No,
No.
From hauling big mule deer out where it's a lot of work to haul
Yeah, I mean,
a mule deer out.
generally I've found it takes, 40 minutes, would you say, to kind of take all four legs off and then all the meat off of
Unless you're Corey, it's like 15, 20 minutes.
No, it takes a little more time.
he's
That's
pretty
it's
fast.
definitely been a new experience having to take every
Everything.
morsel of meat.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'd always heard about that, but at home you take the quarters, you take the back straps and tenderloins, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's
Here you
definitely
gotta
been
fillet the ribs or
Yeah.
cut them off and
Yeah.
pack them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the neck meat. Yep.
a learning experience for sure.
Yep.
Did
And,
you guys debone at all? Any of your deer?
No.
Mine are still in quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's. Just
We
brought the quarters
deboned
back.
one of them just because it was a long pack out.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it took a few minutes.
I mean, my thought is you could debone, if you took the time, you could debone a deer, and one person could carry one of those deer deboned without
Probably,
too much trouble.
yeah.
I bet you're 40, 50 pounds of meat total.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yep.
Deboned.
Yeah.
Maybe on the higher side of that,
Mhm.
since you're taking everything.
Yep.
Pretty doable.
Yeah. Yeah. Generally, we've hunted in pairs, two to three people,
2 to 3. Yeah.
and it's been no issue at all to get these deer out. I mean, we usually just divvy them up and head on out.
And we had a group of 5 today where we had the 3 bucks walk right to us. And we weren't even being quiet or anything. Yeah.
According to the state of Alaska, a sitka blacktail deer, live weight's going to be approximately 200 is the maximum weight. Carcass weight's 120. Boned out carcass is 68.
I'm sure that's getting every last
Yeah, right.
little bit. Yeah.
Bones
They're,
stripped down to
They're
gleaming
weird,
white.
like they're short, but like still pretty fat.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
they're like a
I think body
they're like
wise,
a
they're
little
bigger than
Shetland
whitetail.
pony.
They're-
You really? Think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty close. I mean,
Like if I was to shoot
those
whitetail-
mule deer around Cody are
Yeah.
massive. I mean, I'd say they're bigger than
Yeah.
other area mule deer even. But these are on par
like
with the
a
white.
whitetail doe. That's what I.
Yeah, I can see that.
Whitetail doe.
Yeah.
With coos deer antlers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're second to last day, theoretically, right?
Yep. Yep.
Sounds like this is my first Alaska experience, but par for the course. Alaska determines your schedule, not you.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking like maybe some weather might accelerate our departure by a day here.
Either accelerate it or delay it by 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
How it hits, so.
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest issue there is wind.
Yeah.
And getting a small plane out of Larson Bay. So there's some wind in the forecast, so we really got to look at kind of if we want to get out of here before that starts or after it starts. Really what it'll come down to. But then once we get to Kodiak, we're pretty scot-free from there, I would guess.
Yeah, so really that puddle jumper flight from Larson Bay to Kodiak's the big wrench.
It is. It is. Once we get to Kodiak, fairly consistent commercial flights out.
So depending on how things go, this might be the last you hear from this trip, or
Yep.
We might be bored out of our minds for a couple days, weathered in, and firing the
Do
podcast
another
back
one?
up. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
TBD.
Well, kudos to you guys for putting together a good group. This has been fun to hunt with people that are good hunters, enjoy tight quarters on a boat together. You don't want to just bring anybody on these trips.
No, you don't. Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for coming along. It's been, I think, really good to have someone that kind of knows the place and show us the ropes. And
Yep.
it's been just a pleasure having you and Jessica along. So it's been a good trip for sure.
Appreciate it.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, let's take this boat and head to Hawaii, shoot access deer.
We got enough fuel for that?
Oh yeah, we'll make it.
Awesome.
We might need to
We'll
stop
make it.
halfway.
And from there, New Caledonia.
There
Where's
you
the
go.
deer?
We'll just circumnavigate.
Then we'll hit New Zealand.
We can do New Zealand if we get fuel in Hawaii.
All right.
There we go.
I don't think you got enough seasick patches.
Right.
Yeah. More seasickness patches. It's a little rough out there.
Scopolamine patches. That's the hack,
Yeah,
right?
well, we've got
We didn't
enough
cover that,
venison and fish
but
to
feed
get
us
us
the entire way.
halfway around the world at this
There you
point.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Very true.
All right. Thanks for jumping on, guys.
Yep.
Till
Till
next
next
time.
time.
If you like what you're hearing here, please take a second and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions for topics you'd like discussed or questions you want answered on the podcast. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram or send us an email to podcast@gunwerks.com. Also, be sure and check out our full offering of long-range gear at gunwerks.com. Use promo code LRP for free shipping on any order.